Welcome to Gray Overload, and Intel has their new Arc release out with the B580, and I'm impressed. I am very shocked at what was presented. I was not expecting Intel to have something this put together in this price range, but for $250, this seems to be a well put together card that Intel was able to come out with. Now, hopefully you can find it for that price. The AIB cards, I guess, are coming out because Intel's card is like a limited launch only. So if you can find that for 250, that might be an option for you if you're looking to get into gaming, or if you're looking to upgrade and you have something that's not compatible. Now, I would recommend you take a look at some reviews, especially Wendell. He went on some older hardware. If you have older hardware, that would be a video for you to watch to see some of the things that he noticed there. But when you're looking at this card overall, and not diving into details of if it works with my game and if there's any issues with my game, if you just take the outside look at this and be like, did Intel deliver something that actually seems to be a quite a bit of an improvement of where it was before at a good price range? And I'd have to say yes. I'm impressed. I mean, with $250 uh, in that price range, with what it's capable of doing, it's I think it's better than the 7600, and it has that, what is it, how much RAM, 12 gigs of RAM on it, so you have that frame buffer that other cards in that price range don't have yet. I think Intel is delivering something to make sure that they can at least have attention on them for the time being. And why I say that is we don't know what AMD and NVIDIA are going to do. I don't think NVIDIA has to do anything to really compete with Intel at this point. Now, if NVIDIA wanted to, they could make Intel's life hurt a lot more by putting a card into that price range. Even if it was slightly worse with the NVIDIA features, I think it still would outsell the Intel card. But the AMD is a wild card here, right? AMD could actually, and what AMD should have done is exactly what Intel did here, is put a card that seems to hit a little bit above its price class. Drop the price enough. How do I want to say this? Drop the price enough to make a card attractive enough so that it gets good publicity and people want to then talk about it and maybe even go out and buy it. Whereas AMD's kind of been reluctant, and you get that first initial review, and you're like, this is overpriced. I don't know what AMD's is thinking, and then they come back down and lower the price, but they don't get that another review to kind of show off what at the new price what it's actually it's in a good price performance range. And this B580, right, it's beating that 7600 most of the time. It came close to 7600 XT in some areas, and that's what a little bit more performance, and the frame buffer is bigger between those two cards. And that 4060, it seems to be very well against that. This is a well-positioned card, especially for the price range that you're in, and this is, I think, a revitalization of getting into gaming for a much more reasonable price. And is AMD and NVIDIA going to want to compete within that price range? I don't know if NVIDIA needs to. They have AI and everything else. But as AMD, which preached, we are not going to go after the high end in this next generation. We want to be able to sell for the 80% of consumers. Then that $500 to $200 range, they're going to have to really compete in. And if they're only going to do 300 to 500, I don't think that's enough, because Intel may have another bigger chip in here that they're going to release, and if they're going to do that, that's going to eat into where AMD just is at. And if they're getting publicity on the low end and NVIDIA on the high end, AMD is going to be squeezed from both sides. So I think AMD does have to lower the prices and be in an aggressive spot. But there's a lot of things that I thought they've done quite poorly here as of recently in some of their launches. So especially with pricing. So we'll see if AMD does that. But where Intel is on these pricings is, I hope that they're making money on this, because it does seem aggressive where they're at. And I don't know how much money they're actually making on these, right? Because you got the 7700 XT, that's going for 400. So they're below that, and whilst the 7700 XT seems to be better in most cases, there is some titles where that B580 is performant in. Then you have an extra $50 more for that 7600 XT, and I don't know if it's really worth it uh, to be able to just do that jump. And then that 7600, that was that's 250, 259, and the B580 just, in most of the titles, it's not worth 250, 260, right? The 7600 now needs to get down, since it's an A-frame buffer as well, or 8 gigs of RAM on there. That needs to be down to like 180. I think now you need to drop that down and put that, and then just slide your cards down if you're AMD, which I'm all for that, right? Getting these prices down is always a good thing. But you have the GeForce 460, right? That's also competing against, and that's going for 300. And NVIDIA has an opportunity here to just say, you know what, we have the software, and are you going to compete with us on the software side? While Intel's improved there, I don't know if they can. So getting back to just how this card games and everything else and Intel, I am impressed, and the overall reviews are positive on this. Intel came out with a GPU in a price range that people were looking for and have performance that is enough of a step up that people are, with the current products in that price range, this is a really good value. And I was looking at Hardware Unbox's review on the value, right, of where they always have the value graph. This is a very good value according to the games they tested and the value there. And while there may be drivers issues, there may be growing pains here, is that something that people are willing to trade off for a price point now that is very attractive? And I don't know the answer to that. Like I said, I like to try one of these cards out. I could put it in my kid's system if I wanted to try to test it out if I get a hold of one of these. And that would be one where I would load up some of my older games and see how they played. And I could do that. Maybe that might not be a bad review. Put in the comments if you'd like to see some of the older games on that. I know a lot of these, tech tubers, they do a great job with all the newer games, but I'm thinking, even some of the, classics that I like to play, like Half-Life 2, right? There's some of those out there. How does it perform? If you want to go back and play a game, does this card do well enough that you feel comfortable getting it and then playing some of these older games? Because sometimes, you're playing a new game, you finish it up, and then I want to go play that old game for a little bit before another game comes out. There is that side of it where people want to do that, and we'll see we could see then if it's capable of doing that. But overall, I've been impressed. I I don't know where Intel goes from here. I don't know what their next generation is going to be like. I know that they said that they're going to go for the ultra high end originally. I don't know if that's the case. And for a while there, I thought that this is just going to be uh, a bad project ending, a nightmare for them. And now it looks like it's in a much better position. So we'll see how this progresses of what they're going to do. Remember, they got new, the CEO let go. They got co-CEOs right now, and I think eventually they're going to have to actually get a CEO, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, it's going to be interesting here going forward because you know NVIDIA could drop their prices and wreck this for Intel. I don't think they're going to. I think NVIDIA is going to have a product, and it's going to depend upon what AMD is going to do. And can Intel take a little bit, get a little bit of momentum here before AMD and NVIDIA release their products for the next generation? Also, Intel has this power envelope that seems to be very impressive. Reviewers were very impressed on the power envelope these cards are in. Can NVIDIA and AMD meet that power envelope, and can they also meet the performance in this price range where Intel's at? Those are going to be questions, because even on the ray tracing side, I was impressed where Intel was, even against NVIDIA's cards. So thank you so much for watching Gray Overload. Let me know in the comments below what you think of these new B580 cards. I'm more shocked than anything else. And I want to know what you guys know in the comments below. And until next time, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and watch another one of my videos. It really does help out the channel. And until next time, God bless.